to make sure I include my units. 6/16. Sounds kind of weird. So I guess the lesson here is we always need to make these things as small as possible in terms of our fractions. So asking to find the perimeter, we're going to take everything and add it all up. I get 1 and 3/8. Very good, 8. I'm going to add to that 1 and 1/8. And then I'm going to add to that 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to probably want to convert all of these things to a common denominator, and I'm going to convert them away from mixed fractions. So the first one is 1 and 3/8. 1 times 8 is going to give me 8, plus the 3 is going to give me 11/8. So that's the same thing as 11/8. This is 9/8, and I have 3/4. So that's not going to let me add those very nicely. I'm going to have to convert this last one into 8ths. So I'm going to multiply both the top and bottom by 2. Sorry, I've kind of run out of room here, so I'll just continue up over here. So I have 11/8 plus 9/8. And then if I'd multiplied both the top and bottom by 2, it's going to give me 6/8. Adding those things together, I'm going to end up with 26/8. And now I need to convert that back into a mixed fraction. How many times does 8 go into 26? It's going to go 3 times. And what's left over? 3 times 8 is 24. So 3 and 2/8. And then 2/8 can be simplified a little bit further because both 2 will go into that. So 3 1/4 inches would be the perimeter of that fella. Again, there's many ways to do that. You could have added up all your whole numbers together and then just added the little fractions at the end together. There's no more correct method than any other. So if you finished it a different way, don't feel like you did it wrong. As long as you got to the same spot, that's all that matters. The length of the lightning bolt. You guys are probably pros at this by now. Looking at my ruler here in inches, what do I have in terms of divisions? So my lightning bolt goes here. I got 1 inch, goes here. I have another inch. And then I'm going to say this one goes to right there. It might look a little bit different, but this is what my screen looks like. So I haven't quite filled that 1/3 inch up yet. And I have to count how many divisions I have. So I've broken it up into 16ths, essentially. There's 16 divisions. And I need to count them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the length of the lightning bolt in this case is going to be 2 inches and 13/16. Devin, you were on it. So it asked for 3 lightning bolts. You guys probably got the hang of this, what this is going to look like here. So, what's the length of 3 lightning bolts? I have 2 and 13/16, and I'm going to multiply that by 3. Just to kind of follow what I've been doing to just kind of be consistent with my method here, I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to convert this out of a mixed fraction. So 2 times the 16 is going to give me, what's 2? 16, 32, and then I'm going to add to that 13. So I'm going to get 45 over 16 times 3, or 3 over 1 if I like to write it that way, I can. And 45 times 3, it's going to give me 135 over 16. And then I'm going to have to break out my calculator to figure out how many times 16 goes into 135. Turns out it goes in 8 times. And I'm left with 7/16. So again, I apologize if I went through that one a little bit fast, but I feel like we're kind of there. Done this stuff a few times, and this fraction stuff isn't really what we're doing today. Looks like I have about 4 minutes left to finish off my hour here, so I'm going to do this last problem and then probably call her quits for the day. It asked me to find the length of the rectangle and the width. So maybe you guys can do this one, and maybe I'll just check and make sure our answers are correct. So if you can measure the length and throw it into chat, and then measure the width, throw it into chat, we'll see if we're right. Don't be afraid of being wrong. I'm wrong all the time. You can ask my wife. She tells me that daily. So, give you guys a second. Let's figure out the length. If you want to throw it in. Anyone brave on a Monday morning? The width? Anyone brave enough to throw that in? Looks like we've divided it up into 16ths. Kind of get started here. Looks like it's going to this one here. 1 inch, 7/16. Do we agree with that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like a few more people have plugged that in. So I'm thinking that's probably what we're going to go with. So 1 7/16 of an inch for the, let's call that the length, I guess. How about the width? How about that? That one's looking a little bit easier to me. Starting at the 4 here, and it looks like I'm ending at that one right there, which is looking like 1/2. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in as a half. 1/2 inch. If you recall, the perimeter, you guys probably do, is the length of the outside. So in this case, I have one width at the top, I have one width at the bottom, I have one length on this side, and one length at the bottom. So it turns out I have 2 of everything. You could probably just figure it out on your own, but of course, I have to make things a little bit more difficult and write it in fancy math way. If I wanted to take the perimeter of a rectangle, I'm going to take 2 times the length plus the width. And you've probably seen that before. And again, if you wanted to do it just however you think about it in your head, there's nothing wrong with that. Just doubled them. All right, so I'm going to think about some bed mass here, order of operations. 7/16 is going to be the same thing as 1 times 16 plus 7 is 23/16 plus 1/2. I'm adding fractions. I need to have a common denominator. Move back up here. So I'm going to still have this 2. I'm going to be happy with my 23/16, and I'm going to convert this to 16ths by multiplying both top and bottom by 8. So I have 8/16. 23 plus 8 is going to give me 31. And 2 times 31 is going to give me 62/16. Which is going to be the same thing as 16 goes into 62 3 times with 14 left over. And I need to simplify that as 3 7/8. Now, hopefully you got there. Again, it's not necessarily important how you ended up there, but 3 7/8 should be where you ended. So, just to kind of recap now that we've run out of time, this is all the measurement stuff. So we've done all the measurement stuff. The worksheet that we have to hand in. So I'm just going to take a quick trip back to the course here. If we go to the very top of the course, there we go. There's my beautiful picture. The introduction unit was the first stuff we did with all that review material. So what I had hoped you would have handed in last class on Thursday would have been the algebra review, the BEDMAS review, and the fractions review. So those three together would go into this submission here. So if you handed those in, terrific. I think about half of us have, so I'm still waiting on the other half. So that was the first thing we needed to submit. Okay, this is where things get a little bit trickier. I'm still trying to fight with myself on how I want to kind of display all the lessons and things like that within the course. So I might change it up for the next unit to try something a little bit different. But for now, this is how it's set up. So the only thing you must submit to me at the very end of the unit is this Unit 2 learning guide here. Please print at the very top of the unit. The one that says, please print Unit 2 learning guide. Think of it as a review for the test though. So that's just kind of what you will use to kind of review at the very end. You can go through it as we go. So if you were to download it and look at it, the first few questions you'll know how to do, but there'll be a large portion of it that'll be kind of surface area stuff and things that we haven't even gone through yet. So we're kind of working our way through the unit, and thus far, we've probably done maybe like a third of it. So there's a lot to still cover. So that's kind of where you need to think about in terms of submissions. What have we done? So today, we finished off the Lesson 1, Part 1 worksheet. So this guy's done. The Lesson 1, Part 2 worksheet was the measurement we just did. So what I want you guys to do is go in and do this Lesson 1 practice. This Lesson 1 practice is a bunch of questions relating to stuff that we just did. So Lesson 1 practice is a bunch of stuff that we just did, measurement, unit conversions, all of the things that we've covered. Now, I don't need you to submit this. If you want me to like go over a few of these questions next day, I'd be happy to do that. So this is kind of like in a math class where your teacher gives you some time to do some questions and they say do number 2, 4, 6, and 7, A and B. So all of the Lesson 1 practice you should go through. If you have any questions, I'll answer them next class. There's also this Unit 2, just below that, this imperial measures of length. Remember these lessons are the ones that kind of go along with the textbook publisher. And it's all the stuff I just went through. It's just different examples of the same stuff. So if you didn't understand something maybe that I went through, or you're confused by it, or you need some help on that practice, if I just pull this up, I just want to remind you that you can click on this begin lesson and you can go through all of that, and it's just a bunch of examples similar to the ones I did, but just further explanations of sort of different questions. Up at the top here, we have practice solutions. These are answers to all of the Lesson 1 practice that I just asked you guys to do. So if you're stuck on, one of these questions like number 6, you can go in and you can click on it, and it gives you a full video explanation of how to do that question. You can see here where it says practice assignment. That's the one that I've just included in the course. So you can either get it from here or you can get it right from the course. So I'm just going to exit out of that guy. Maybe. There we go. So again, Lesson 1 practice is the same as the one that I just had up there. All of the answers are all explained in there. What I would like you guys to do is I'd like you to go through lesson 1 practice, and I'd like you to attempt the quiz. You guys haven't done any quizzes yet. I remember there's like 30 of them throughout the course, so they're all very small portions of your mark. I think 0.3% each, so rather insignificant. You can do these quizzes 2 times if you want. So if you go through it and you get 1 out of 5 and you're like, wow, I really wasn't ready for that, I need to go back and do some more practice, you want to do it again, you can go ahead and do it again. So you can do each quiz twice if you want. If you get 5 out of 5 the first time, awesome. If you get 2 and you want to go back and get a few more marks, you can go back and do that again. So the quizzes kind of let me know where you guys are at and how you've been doing in terms of the material. So just so we're all clear, what do I want you to do? Because everyone's a little bit confused, and this is kind of the first sort of unit we've gotten into. So what do I want you to do? Right now, we've done the 2 lessons. I want you to do the practice and try the quiz. So these are the 2 things you should be doing this afternoon: practice and the quiz. What needs to be handed in? Well, essentially by doing the quiz, you're gonna give me a mark there out of 5. And then at the very end of the unit, you need to hand in this Unit 2 learning guide. Think of it as a review for the test. So we haven't gone through everything in here yet. There's probably, again, like 4 or 5 questions that you'll be able to do out of that learning guide, but not all of them. So you don't even need to look at it today. What I'll recommend is this: maybe like 3/4 of the way through the unit. So we're talking maybe like Wednesday or Thursday. You're gonna start looking at some of those questions. So I'm hoping to be done this Unit 2 by Thursday's class, and then maybe you guys will be able to spend some time on the weekend, find an hour or less to go through that Unit 1 test. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the unit. If you want to work ahead, you can go ahead and do that. You don't necessarily have to. I would like it if you guys do the quiz today. If you can't find time today, by tomorrow afternoon. So if you go through this lesson 1 practice and you have a bunch of questions that you're really confused about, then what you can do is just ask me them next day, or you can go into the lesson and all the solutions are in there as well. I'll be happy to go through them next day. And then if after I've gone through some of the questions you had difficulties with, you hopefully are then comfortable enough to do that quiz. So if you're going through this stuff, you're like, yeah, this is easy, no worries, you want to try the quiz this afternoon, awesome. I'm going to insist that the quiz gets done by tomorrow afternoon though, so I know where everyone's at. Hopefully that's clear. I know there's kind of a lot and it's kind of new. So next day, tomorrow, we're going to go through measuring using calipers and all that stuff, unit conversions back and forth from metric to imperial. And then the Wednesday and Thursday's class, we're going to start talking about surface area and volume of some of the shapes. And then hopefully you'll have time to do the test on the weekend, because that's all of Unit 1. So if nobody has any further questions, I think we'll just end there. I apologize for going a little bit over time. That's a good question. What should we have printed for tomorrow? Thank you, Anna. You're a step ahead of me. Let's get this lesson 2 worksheet printed for tomorrow, and this vernier caliper worksheet. So these 2 things I'm going to go through tomorrow. Lesson 2 worksheet and vernier caliper worksheet. So the worksheets I'll always go through each day, and then the practice will be kind of what you do after the worksheet, and then generally speaking there'll be kind of a quiz after each lesson. So if you can get that done for next day, that'd be great. Nobody typed in any questions. I'll be on Blackboard for a while. I'll just keep it open in my office. So if you're going through this stuff and you have a question, you can just, you can log out and then just come back in, and I should be there until maybe like 11:30. I'll say I'll be in Blackboard today until then. So if you have questions, come back in, say, hey, Mr. Borden, I'm having trouble with practice, 2B. And then I can just do it right on Blackboard for you if that works. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. If you have questions, feel free to let me know, and I would be happy to go through anything you had troubles with next day at the beginning of class. So that's it for now. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow.